Welcome to StudioSense Pastel Painting Demonstrations. Today we are talking about creating an acrylic underpainting to your pastel painting. We're going to talk about composition and how the underpainting can help support the composition, build contrast and a variety of values in that underpainting to help support the pastels you'll apply afterward, and to create some interesting creative effects with acrylic paint. So here's the reference photo from a hike at Mount Rainier National Park in Washington. And on the right side is the completed underpainting of acrylic paint. And as you can see, it was quite a wild experience in creating that underpainting with these particular acrylics, some deep blues, some reds, and a little bit of black to help darken some of the shades. So what I'll do here, here's the rough sketch done with a deep green pastel pencil, and I sprayed this with a fixative, and I'm taking a foam brush, the pointed triangular foam brushes, and working the darkest values first. So the rock structure, you want to capture the deepest shades, the cracks and crevices, the cavernous little sections of those huge boulders hanging on the side of that hill. So what I'll do is I'll take the darkest shades first to help certainly highlight the darkest shades of acrylic to highlight the darkest portions of the rock structures, but also to help shape the composition of the rocks, because you have certainly a lot of flat, a lot of jagged edges and sharp edges that you want to convey. So the acrylic paint is not only going to pick up those contrasts, but it'll help us build the values of the final pastel painting. So we'll have these values created with acrylic paint, and then select those pastel values that reasonably match the values of the acrylic that we put down. Here I'm just simply stroking the structures of the rocks. And I'll kind of keep going back and forth, picking up the dark shaded areas such as the right side, lower side of that tree, as well as the left side and the upper, middle upper left side of the rocks. I'll pick up it's a sort of an alizarin crimson color with a little bit of red in it to help capture the reddish brown soil between the rocks here. And we'll work on some negative space here to start bringing out the shape of the tree, the large tree on the left. We'll have obviously a small portion of a tree in the upper right of the reference photo. Once these darker shades are put in, we'll work a little bit lighter shades to help capture the lighter values that we'll see. As I apply these pastels, which we'll see in the next video, you'll see that I'm applying somewhat of a much lighter value to the light-facing edges of the sharp rocks. At the bottom of your canvas, you need to dab the pooled paint. What will happen as you work with this acrylic paint and washing them down and the water dilution is some of that paint will collect at the bottom of your canvas. So I dabbed that with a piece of towel, paper towel, to help keep that from buckling. The paper will buckle a bit. This is UART 400 pastel paper, and it's mounted on a plain old acid-free foam core. So it will buckle a little bit depending on how wet it gets. The top portions of the trees here, I'm picking a lighter blue, washed out type of an acrylic, because that's where the sunlight is emanating from back there, and there's a lot of glare in this reference photo, and there's a lot of glare just looking at this particular scene. So those leaves will be very light shaded. So I'm using a very light blue here, bluish purple acrylic paint, roughly kind of scattering it about there, up in the sky. There are certainly darker values of those leaves, so like the center of the tree and off to the left center of the tree. At some point, I'll take some more concentrated acrylic to shape up some of the sharp edges, as you can see here, of the rocks. And these provide a wonderful guideline as I begin to paint this canvas with soft pastels. Again, kind of carving out the tree there with the shade that's below it. Notice that wonderful dripping effect that occurred here, which seems to be contrary to these sharp rocks, but the rocks have various like nubs and crevices that would represent different values because they're capturing the sunlight differently. So those little smears there will come in handy as we build the pastel on top, and we'll make sure that we leave certain sections of the pastel exposed to this acrylic, which will give it a really interesting and a creative effect. I would really encourage you to be creative with your underpainting. Acrylic is wonderful. You can do it with watercolor. You can do it with pastel that's diluted with isopropyl alcohol. Again, just trying to reinforce the edges of trees that will apply pastel to this underpainting. So that's pretty much the whole extent of the underpainting here. It dries pretty quickly, and you pick out your pastels and you kind of get it going. I always offer to my subscribers to YouTube a 30% off on all of my original paintings and prints on my website. So go visit my website in the shop and see if anything tickles your fancy, and go have it. Certainly reach out to me with any particular questions you have. You'll find a variety of paintings from the national parks, which is my specialty, and I enjoy taking those trips and doing the hikes and creating those paintings. So there's the final view of our acrylic underpainting for today. The next video will start taking us through the entire creation of that pastel painting. You can reach me on email, bob@palmertonimages.com. You can see my website there, and please follow me at Bob Palmerton Art on Instagram. Thanks, and have a good day.